Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hello, Nicole. We'll just be a couple more minutes. I'm just waiting for Emily to join me. Hello. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. Hello. Hi, Maria. There is Emily. Okay. There she is. Hello. How are you doing this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Get all organized here.
Wonderful. It looks like people are still coming into the room. That is great. Just gonna make sure my phone is okay.
Perfect. I will do the same.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It looks like we do have a few people in the room. So, shall we get started?
That sounds wonderful.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us for our Social Distance Book Club. My name is Mary, and I'm here with Emily. I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the library, and Emily is our Community-Led Librarian. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Today, as you know, we are talking about a few articles that were published in the June 2020 publication of The Walrus on Flipster. So we thought that we'd just take some time to chat about what we read this month and also get your thoughts and views on it. So if you have any questions or comments at all, please feel free to add them in the comment box and join the conversation.
Lovely. It's always so nice, Mary. You've done a number of these over the weeks, and it's been so nice seeing all the different faces, new faces, familiar faces. So love to hear back from everyone to participate tonight, ask questions, comments. Just as you said, the conversation is really what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know this is a little off course, but it's so funny that you mentioned that because in the Your Brain on COVID-19 article, it talked a lot about online community and how important it is during these times. And it's so wonderful to see our community coming together virtually and chatting with us. And even though we're not meeting in person, it's so nice to have these conversations virtually.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on. I loved how they talked about how, it's the kind of the two divergent approaches. It's like, oh, screen time is bad. Stay off your devices. And now that we don't really have a choice, it's all about how can we build community in kind of new and different ways. And I think you're spot on. The Social Distance Book Club is a perfect example of that.
Yes, absolutely. So I hope everyone here is enjoying it as much as we are, because I know that we certainly have been loving this so far. But what Emily and I also wanted to talk to you about is the feature article that was on the cover of The Walrus. It was a featured artist, actually, which was a nice little, nice fun change up.
Right?
Life in the life in the time of COVID-19, Margot Williams. And she pays homage to things that are making fun of us. So a lot of her new names and subjects are things that are right in front of us, like a desk, what I'm on right now, a chair, a coffee table, simple things in a living room. And I thought that was really interesting. So I was wondering if anyone else got to see some of her artwork in The Walrus and what your thoughts were.
Absolutely. And just while we're waiting for folks to chime in, Mary, I totally agree with everything that you said. It's so interesting now that kind of our world has shrunk down a little bit. It's so interesting to kind of see rooms and spaces and ordinary objects in a different way. It's quite interesting. I think her timing probably wasn't intentional for the exhibition, but it couldn't be more timely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I read this somewhere today, and I wish I knew where I read this so that I could properly give them credit for it. But I found somewhere on Twitter, and it talked about how we are fully living in the present right now because a lot of our future is unknown because most of the things that we typically look forward to are canceled, and we don't know what our future is. So it is a really interesting time, and we really are living in the present, so unaware of what we are going to be approaching next.
So true. And Mary, I must have seen the same Twitter comment because that's so funny. I have a note about the exact same thing, and it was so precise. And I feel like Becca, our children's librarian colleague, had mentioned something similar about how difficult it is right now to even contemplate, some long-term plans or goals or I think I was meant to have concert tickets for September, and now will it happen?
Yeah.
No, the perpetual present.
Yes, so much unknown. I know. I totally agree. I had a concert that's coming up in June that was canceled, so
Oh,
disappointing, but rescheduled. So there's still good things coming. Diana, living in the present and appreciating it more. That's lovely. Another thing that really spoke to me in this article, it talked a lot about art and using art as a creative outlet. And it's funny that this is right after another library program that we have, the Podcast in Pines program. So we meet every month, and we typically meet at the Orange Snail Brewers, but during these times we are meeting virtually. So we met virtually last night, and we talked about happiness. And one of the podcasts that we listened to talked a lot about art and how much happiness that can bring someone, even if you're not artistic. And it's so timely because we think that we need to be artistic to draw or color, but you don't necessarily need to have incredible creative abilities to do that. And we talked a lot about how the adult coloring books or the paint by numbers, how they're increasing in popularity, because finally people have started to do that, and they see this creative outlet and how beneficial it is. And I know that I speak for one of those people because I have no artistic ability, but when I first got an adult coloring book and started coloring in it, I loved it. And I was like, why haven't I been doing this for so long? Because it's so much fun and it's so relaxing. Yes, I totally agree, Maria. So I'm just curious that if anyone else is doing any artistic things, if you're coloring more, if you're getting creative, diving into a new hobby. Cindy's been working on her coloring. Lovely.
wonderful.
Oh,
I think I'm seeing also Becca mentioning about her kids and how they've been using their imaginations more and how lovely that is to see. I can only imagine.
so
It's
lovely.
lovely to see.
Reading more, learning to sew. Oh, that's so wonderful, Lisa. More wine and cheese. Yes, I agree with you there, Becca. Can't go wrong.
I love all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the creative outlet that you were talking about, Mary, it's been so important these days. I likewise have no artistic skill, but I've been trying to um, bring some creativity to organization and just, getting organized, doing the KonMari method on a closet. It just brings you that sort of calm and simplicity. So I'm not sure if it qualifies as art, but it's certainly been in that same theme of relaxing and enjoying.
Yes, it's therapeutic. It's so funny that you mentioned that because when we first started isolation, I said to myself that I was going to do the same and start organizing all of my closets. So I did a couple at the beginning and then I hadn't since. So you've given me the reminder that I need to go back and do that. Things that bring you joy. Oh, cooking. Yes, we've been doing a lot of cooking here. Absolutely. Lots of delicious meals.
Again, there's artistry.
I know. Shop Girls completed the Yale University online course, The Science of Wellbeing. That's amazing.
Amazing.
Talking about making good use of your time.
Excellent.
So much baking. Trying new things in the kitchen with the extra time has been great. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, it's been nice to have that time to really look up some fun, exciting recipes and just have the time to spend in the kitchen and enjoying a nice meal after is so great.
It's fabulous. Karaoke.
Karaoke. Oh, that's so fun.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. I feel like we've really got a creative vibe going on
Oh.
here in the book club tonight.
Trying new things because of lack of ingredients. Yep, absolutely, Maria. I find that it's, well, I'm enjoying cooking and getting creative in the kitchen. It's also stressful because you have to plan like a week out. So if you forget something in your grocery shop, you need to get creative and try to replace that recipe with something else.
Absolutely.
Gardening, that's lovely.
That's so perfect.
We're hopefully getting some nice weather in the next couple of days, so that's great.
That would be a lovely change. I know after our seed campaign with the Halton Environmental Network, I find it quite therapeutic to be packaging all the seeds together, writing a little note for everyone. So again, I think that brings us back to that point of community that you were talking about earlier, Mary, that idea of if we can't be together in person, through the mail, or through venues like this, it's so important.
Yeah, I think today community is so important, more important than ever. And I think that's a nice segue into your brain on COVID-19 because they did talk a lot about community and how in today's times it's not necessarily about just your neighbor, it's the online community, the people that you are connecting with virtually, but also I would say that people are connecting a lot more with their community in really nice ways, whether that be dropping off some of your baked goods to a neighbor, because I know that I certainly don't want to eat everything that I'm baking because I'm also baking a ton right now and I don't know what to do with everything. But it's just a really nice way to connect with your neighbors, because we are all home and of course from a safe distance. But it's nice to see people out and about and saying hi to one another and doing good things for one another.
Absolutely. I'd be curious if in the comments, if folks have seen anything interesting in their neighborhoods, anything from people being brought together. I think that would be lovely to hear. So please do leave us a little note in the comments.
Yes, any good news, neighborhood stories,
Yes.
supporting local businesses and restaurants where possible. Yes, that's great, Becca. Children will connect more with their families. Yes, I actually had a friend of mine saying, even though this has been a really trying time for her, trying to work from home and also take care of two kids, that she has never seen her children get along so well and play so well together. So it's nice to see that all that time together has made them really enjoy each other's company.
That's so nice to hear. Oh my goodness.
I find that everyone is more chatty and happy to connect when out walking. I agree, especially on a nice sunny day. Oh my gosh. Painted rocks with special messages. Oh, so nice, Lisa. Statements such as we're in it together. Lots of people outside. People taking up jogging and biking. That's great. Getting lots of exercise.
I'm so glad you mentioned that exercise point, Mary. I'm not sure if it points back to this article or perhaps one of the other ones, but talking about the different things that you can do for that mental health, whether it is physical exercise or following up with one of your passions. I think that physical and mental health are really coming to the fore right now. I'm not sure if you.
Oh, I think I lost you there for a second, Emily. Hello?
Hello.
You're good.
We're good?
We're good.
Apologies in advance if my internet cuts out again.
No problem. It was very, very, very quick. Sorry, I missed your last point, Emily. What did you say?
So sorry, I was loving how you were bringing in the concept of exercise and just the idea of both physical and mental health. I wasn't sure if it was this article or maybe the astronaut alone in the universe article that was also kind of part of this triumvirate of articles.
Yeah.
but how important that is. And I just wondered if you had that same sense of it, of mental and physical health coming to the fore right now.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I know that I've never seen my mood change so drastically based on weather. Because now more than ever, I so appreciate getting out for an afternoon walk. And if it's snowing in May, that really bothers me right now.
Absolutely. I
Um,
don't think you're alone in that.
but on the flip side, when it's nice and sunny, I'm in a very, very, very good mood. I'm very happy. Maria, need to get outside every day. Yes, absolutely. It makes a difference. I found it really interesting in the Your Brain on COVID article when they talked about how we have a really spotty track record relating to invisible threats.
Yes.
And I found that really interesting because this is an invisible threat. And it talked a lot about our brain's response to that, and how I think there was a study where it looked at video games and how if the predator was a visible predator, that people playing the games had a much faster reaction time and it was in line with their fight or flight. But if it was an invisible threat, their brains would work harder to assess the threat. And I
Yes.
think that is so interesting because I know that we're just being told to stay home and sit on our couches, but it is a very difficult job to do because our brains want to do something.
That is a great example. The one that stood out for me was the one of the idea of the meteor, the analogy that we're all sort of in this against, again, a threat that we can't see, just as you were saying. And we're just all doing our best. And the idea of, again, coming together. But there was so much of the science. I found it really approachable, really readable, but all of the different, our different brains, our lizard brain and how it's reacting to
Right.
things versus trying to appreciate, the cognitive threat of things. It was really interesting.
Especially when it like broke down hoarding of things that we're doing and how we want to do something to help ourselves, but we can't because we're being told to do nothing. So then we become irrational and we hoard toilet paper. Like toilet paper is being hoarded all around the world. I don't think it's as bad anymore, but it's just unbelievable that like that's somewhere where our brains would turn to and think that that's something that we need to do.
That's interesting how much, in just these 8 short weeks or so that things have changed. Because you're right, there was that whole emphasis on toilet paper, and now we're moving on where it's almost, I think in the article they talked about going through the stages of grief and how we can approach things and how it is a historic time. I think Becca mentioned in the comments something about journaling and how this was a really historic moment in time, and how are we going to capture that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear anyone's comments if anyone has any thoughts on that. Send a memo to Mother Nature. And it was, I believe it was in the Your Brain on COVID when they talked about the fake good news.
Yes. Oh,
So
that
I
really
feel like that's a first. I don't know that we've had a spread of fake good news, at least in what I can remember.
I wonder, we're just so craving those good news stories, whether it's from our friends or family, or even how we've evolved to celebrate birthdays and weddings. I know I had the birthday presentation for all of the kids who are celebrating while they're in quarantine. It's so interesting. We're so adaptable as a species, it seems.
Yes. Yeah, it's nice to see how creative people are getting to celebrate birthdays. And I know that the drive-by birthday parties are really popular right now. So it's nice that people are getting creative and doing things to connect with one another, even if that means doing it from a distance.
It's so true.
Yes, the Spanish flu, people stockpiling up on Vicks Vapor Rub. They talked about that as well um, in the article. So interesting that, again, they thought that that was necessary at that time, but now we think it's toilet paper. I love hearing about how people are celebrating lawn signs, balloonograms, car parades. So awesome. I agree. Yeah. I feel like any good news story, as you mentioned, Emily, is so exciting right now because we are all just so craving good news.
It's,
So it can really make my day when I hear something that's positive.
I agree. I agree. I think we're also primed for that sort of distraction as well, whether we're keeping our hands busy with art, like the point that you were making, or with cooking. We're just ready for something new and something good. And it's so interesting how all the different layers of our brain are interpreting this moment in time and how we're reacting.
Yeah, absolutely. All the poor kiddos who are graduating this year, lots of
Mm,
folks have stepped up. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Not happy to hear about the fact that they're missing their graduation, but the people have stepped up.
absolutely.
Finally appreciating our frontline workers. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Oh, I haven't watched that show, Maria. Some good news on YouTube. I'll have to check that out.
Hmm.
Lots of great comments there.
Thank you so much for coming and joining the conversation, everyone. It's so lovely to hear from everyone. I feel more connected every time that we do this. Mary, I don't know if you feel the same way.
Absolutely. I know. I wish I could see everyone's faces right now. That would be lovely. I don't think Instagram Live has that feature, but maybe after isolation they will.
You never know, all of these new,
No.
inventions.
Yes,
Who
most
knew we'd all
definitely.
be on Zoom?
Oh. Did anyone get a chance to watch Chris Hadfield's YouTube video on tips for isolation? I actually didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did read that in one of the articles, and I thought that was so fun that he did something like that.
It's so I didn't even think of it until the I think it was the Alone in the Universe article where they talked about how astronauts train by um, doing things like going to, isolated polar regions and that sort of thing. And it's just, the endurance of the human spirit, I guess. It's
Mhm.
so interesting.
So interesting. Yeah, and I know that Chris Hadfield in the article it kind of just summarized what the YouTube video was about, but it talked about a lot of the things that we talked about here, self-care, learning a new hobby or a new skill, which it sounds like so many of you are doing.
So lovely.
A Zoom birthday. Oh, that's so fun. Good. I'm happy the birthdays are still being celebrated.
Lovely. So great. Well,
Oh,
Mary, I can let people know that we do have on Cloud Library, we have a selection of books related to Commander Hadfield and outer space. I think we called it The Astronaut's Guide to Self-Isolation. So if folks are interested in learning more, they can definitely check that out.
oh. Our local hero.
Indeed, indeed. I can also mention, I think Margot's book from the artist's article is also available on Hoopla. So if you're looking for more artistic inspiration, you can check that out on Hoopla. And also, the McMichael Gallery, they do virtual online tours. So if you're feeling like you need more artistic inspiration, I was just reading that they do offer those online tours. So even if we can't get out to a museum or a gallery, I'm sure lots of other cultural institutions are doing something like that. So that would be something great to check out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for adding in all of that, Emily, because that's all really great information and hopefully helpful to everyone that's here today. Groups not being able to meet in person are enjoying meeting on Zoom. Definitely. I remember my first Zoom or like group FaceTime meeting when I was in isolation, and it just felt so good to see someone from outside of my household. So
And Mary, you're hosting lots of really interesting groups on Zoom these days. Could you maybe tell us about a couple of them?
absolutely. So we do have jamming with Jim. That is a guitar jam session that happens every Thursday at 2 p.m. So you can register for that program on Evanced. We have a writer circle that meets bi-weekly, and they meet on Tuesdays at 1:30. So if you are interested in writing, You don't need to be an expert. You can absolutely come and join the group. They're a really lovely group. And so approachable and friendly and such a positive space. So you can check that out. They meet bi-weekly. As Katie mentioned, they have a podcast in Pines. Yes. Podcast in Pines is really, really fun. I mentioned this at the beginning of the chat, but we meet monthly. We meet usually the last Wednesday of every month at Orange Snail Brewers, but our time has changed a little slightly. We do meet Wednesday nights once a month, virtually for now, and we're meeting on Zoom, and we always talk about a theme of podcasts and then discuss it. It's a really, really fun, good group of people. It's a really great time. I look forward to it every month. So definitely check that out. All of these programs are available on Zoom. And we do have our June e-newsletter coming out very soon that we are all very excited about because we can't wait to show up all of the fun virtual programs that we have coming up. So if you haven't already, you can sign up for our e-newsletter. You can also check out our website to see all of the exciting things that are happening. And what else? June is a really big month.
It's busy, isn't it? And again, it's bringing everyone together in these unique and wonderful and virtual ways. It's so lovely. It's so exciting.
Yeah. So we are celebrating Seniors Month. We have a few events that are lined up for that, and also a couple programs that are focused on dementia. So if that is of anyone's interest, please reach out to me or check out our website, and I would be more than happy to bring you up to speed. And Emily, you have a couple updates as well for June, don't you?
Absolutely, yes. So like you said, it's a busy month. So there's National Indigenous History Month. So we're really looking forward to promoting and celebrating and honoring that. And I know that Lisa, our Teen Services librarian, has a lot going on for Pride, which is June as well. So it's so exciting. And again, some artistic endeavors. And so I think it's so timely with all of our conversations tonight and for our ongoing work and goals and efforts. So it's so great to realize all of the potential that's still yet to come.
So great. Yes, and I would encourage everyone to check out our website if you haven't, because all of our e-resources and things that you can access from home are on our main page. So you can take advantage of some of the library services from the comfort of your own home. Where do we see the library newsletter? So it's an e-newsletter that would be emailed to you. If you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe on our website. And it will be emailed out in the next few days. Thank you, Maria.
That's awesome.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I know that I really enjoyed speaking with all of you today and chatting and connecting. I hope everyone is going to be able to join us next week for our very exciting guest.
It's so exciting. So Eliza Schlesinger will be here, which is incredible. You can check out her book, and her specials are on Hoopla as well. So that's really exciting. And I know it'll be a phenomenal conversation as well. So similarly, Maria, thank you so much for curating everything and bringing everything together.
Thank you, Emily. And in addition to next week's guest, we also have a really exciting lineup of speakers that we are so excited to share with all of you. So stay tuned for updates because we will be sharing all of our upcoming guests soon.
Well, have a lovely long weekend, everyone.
Happy long weekend. See you next week, everyone.
See you then.
Bye-bye.